All right, folks, this is Cimbolic of the Council of 12 reporting out to you on the Blog Talk radio show that we had yesterday, Saturday, January 23rd, 2010. The topic was the failure of the public schools. What can parents do? We had two guests call in. Dr. Karen Dade, she is on the board of the National PTA, Parents Teachers Association. And then we had an anonymous guest, Mrs. Smith, who works on the elementary level in the inner city schools as a public school teacher. Very fascinating. And listen to the show. I'll have the link in the sidebar. It's a very interesting show. So there's two perspectives on this. When you say what can parents do, what can parents do to help their children succeed, and then what can parents do, and what can all of us do in our communities to improve the public school system as a whole. The real key, the most important element appears to be the parents' involvement with the child's education. Dr. Karen Dade recommended, if you have a child in the school system, help them with their homework. Be involved with their homework. Get to know the teachers. Get to know the schools. Make it an assumption in the family that there will be higher education, so that it's never put into question. So make education a priority. Start reading to children in the preschool period. Reading is really important, and this seems to be the factor. Now, Mrs. Smith, the teacher who called in anonymously, she's saying that she's seeing a lot of parents who are just not involved at all, or they're indifferent, or they are so young themselves that they really haven't had a chance to even figure out who they are themselves. So there are parents that she's never even seen. They've never come down to the school. She's never met them, and so there are a lot of kids in our communities who are not getting the parental support. One strategy, I think, community strategy, is to find a way to give these children support if their parents are not providing that support. One of the ideas that Ms. Smith had was bring the PTA meetings to the community. Instead of having them somewhere distant, bring them into the community where people can just walk to them, hold them in the community center, where have you, so that they're right there and parents can attend, and be involved and become involved. People might want to put together, I don't know, study sessions or support sessions for the children. There are, of course, alternatives to public schools. It's rather grim. Miss Smith went through public education herself when the system was very strong and very effective. Her children went to public schools. She says now, however, that if she had a child of public school age, she would not want to send the child to public schools. There is too much testing in the public schools. The wording on the test is difficult for the children to relate to. There seems to be a sort of a dialect bias in the wording of the tests. Of course, for Hispanic youth, there are no tests in Spanish, so it's going to be very difficult for those children to succeed on these tests. The testing, the teachers are put under an incredible amount of pressure and are held accountable for things beyond their control. They're held accountable for parent participation. How can a teacher assure parental participation? They're held accountable for the children's attendance. Held accountable for many things that happen in the home or should have happened in the home before the child went to school. So it puts an enormous amount of pressure on the children. The testing, I believe, affects funding. There are a number of schools don't want to look bad. They don't want to develop bad education. So there's a discipline problem. The schools need strong principals. So another solution is for communities to get involved to make sure that the principals are strong principals and that the principals of the schools are making sure that there is strong discipline. Another recommendation for kids who are disruptive in the classroom is have in-school suspensions. so that children who are suspended for being disrupted and slowing down the other students, or creating idle time in the classroom, that those be in the school and monitored by certified staff members or certified teachers. You don't want the kids roaming the streets. Causes all kinds of problems, and it sort of rewards bad behavior. If the child doesn't want to be in school, get them in a learning situation, keep them in the school, keep them in the educational situation. Lobby the local politicians, talk to the school boards, talk to the superintendents. The superintendents have to spend time and have a presence in the inner cities. They can't be spending all their time, visiting and interacting with the wealthier parts of the city. That's just not democratic. That's not their charge. Everybody pays taxes, and people have to, they have to be there, draw attention, do a lot of outreach to the community, get the PTAs involved with the community. As I say, get support for the children who don't seem to have parental support. What else have we? That those seem to be some of the major difficulties that are involving, as I say, the discipline situation, the testing situation, and primarily the lack of parental support, and um, you know parents who are just not involved for whatever reason. They're too young. They've had bad educational experience themselves. Education was not valued in their family. They themselves were not taught the value of education. Maybe they don't have much time. Maybe it's a single parent family, so there's not much time. So any way the community can support parents, and support parents to get involved with their children, or else get involved on the child's behalf, is a good thing. The schools are not given enough funding for basic supplies, for paper, for pencils, for writing implements. This needs to be lobbied for. Lobby the politicians, lobby the superintendents, lobby the board of supervisors, lobby the board of education. The youth are the future of this country, and Mrs. Smith confirms that we are not preparing our children to be competitive in a global economy, in a global marketplace, which means that the country, my friends, in my opinion, is going to fall farther and farther behind, as time goes by. The youth are our future, so we have to support them. We have to educate them. I mean, I've make videos about the importance of education. I believe I'm in the promotional video for this. I talked about how our very freedom rests on a good education, on creating informed citizens who can make decisions, who will not be manipulated by politicians and their rhetoric. You have to have the critical thinking skills. You have to have knowledge, and you have to be an educationally equipped citizen. You know, and you need the skills to work, to get a job, and to compete in this global economy is becoming more and more difficult. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Link in the sidebar. The two guests were actually wonderful. We learned a great deal, and if you want to know what's going on in the public schools right now, and the difficulties the public schools are happening, and how easily it is for a public school to fall and to fail, and the factors that are involved in that, listen to the show. Link in the sidebar. All our shows are there. We'll see you next Saturday, same time, 5 o'clock p.m., same place, if it's a place, blogtalkradio.com/Council of 1-2. Thank you very much. Everybody read, and read to everybody else. Take care. Bye.